The Nasdaq is down 99.97% when I split it by Bitcoin. The strongest is just owned by you. Weirdly, if everything is interconnected and propelled by the same forces, then the only asset you need to hold is crypto. After then, it's a matter of determining which cryptocurrency is doing better. Any coin compared to Bitcoin and Ethereum can be plotted on your charts. And if anything appears to be emerging in opposition to those it was sold, my new assignment is to compare everything to Solana. Yeah, but Solana is a massive undertaking. For that reason, I will not risk my entire life resources on a minor venture. However, I may take a tiny position if it involves one of the means. However, I find that to be acceptable because Solana is large enough and has a large enough network adoption effect. This cycle, Real Vision CEO Raoul is very bullish about cryptocurrency. Plus, I'll tell you why. According to his analysis, the Nasdaq has underachieved Bitcoin by a whopping 99.97%. This exemplifies how Bitcoin has outperformed more conventional stock indices. Investors, according to Powell, should prioritize holding the asset with the best performance because all assets are interrelated and affected by the same macroeconomic dynamics. Crypto assets, namely Solana, Ethereum, and Bitcoin, are ideal for him. After ARK, Invest, and VanEck just filed for a possible spot ETF, a post on Watcher Guru predicts that Solana's price could boost market confidence in Solana has been boosted by the filings. According to CoinCodex, the price of Solana is expected to rise gradually, with a potential peak of $170 by August 1, 2024. The forecast does, however, indicate a small price down before a major increase beyond the $150 barrier in the months of May and July. The banana zone, you can see that the fruit is ripening even if it is still green on the tree. The banana zone typically begins in the summer or even into September during us election years. However, I believe it has begun at this very moment. In my opinion, the crypto market has bottomed out this week and prices will only get stronger from here on out. The banana zone should then pick and speed in the days leading up to the US election, after which it often takes a short break as people wait to see what happens, and suddenly the year comes to a crashing climax. Therefore, I am completely in the banana zone. Everyone should simply be patient. The globe owes far too much money. The world was shattered by US in 2008. When national debt reached 100% of GDP, the banking system collapsed for most countries. At that time, we set interest rates to zero and everyone had to start anew with loans of 3 to 5 years duration. Cycle of refinancing. The combined public and private sector debts are now too high to be covered by GDP. From 2008 onwards, it became clear that the main central banks were essentially printing money through liquidity initiatives like quantitative easing. Interest on debts can be paid in part by printing more money. Now, debasement occurs when money is printed. Reducing the denominator gives the impression that asset prices are going up. Thus, we observe this cycle every 4 years with the addition of liquidity beginning in year 3. They increase liquidity in year 4. They are continuing to add liquidity even in the 5th year of the debt cycle. They speed up for a while, then slow down again, and so on. Thus, we receive this cash for 3 years. That is good for all assets, but especially those with a lengthy time horizon, such as technology and cryptocurrency. That is the driving factor underlying nearly all assets. This method of increasing liquidity is 97.5% correlated with the Nasdaq. About 87.5% of cryptocurrency is correlated. Because it keeps experiencing these huge exponential changes, the correlation is low. The worldwide debasement rate is 8% per year, and I finally got it. The world's leading central banks have increased their liquidity in that way. Inflation plus that rate of asset values created a barrier. For simplicity's sake, let's assume that inflation worldwide is 4%. So 12%. We have to put money into the business before we even start making a profit. If we don't save enough now, we won't have enough money to buy enough assets when they're worth more in the future, leaving us impoverished. Our investment returns are insufficient to compensate for the debasement. As a result, I looked at the total asset value and determined that only 2 assets genuinely beat the global liquidity index. The others remain stationary. Being part of a secular bull market, both assets are technology equities. Next week will be even more digital than this one. As for cryptocurrency, its uptake has surpassed that of any other technology in history. Therefore, I built my entire programming cycle around that. It sheds light on the dynamics of pricing changes throughout time. Knowing what they're refinancing gives us a leg up when it comes to predicting future pricing, provided we can accurately predict these liquidity flows. Since it appears to be functioning, it must be a very simple structure. I chose not to take profits last cycle because I've discovered that keeping onto investments for the long haul yields better results. Holding over the long haul and adding when prices drop is the real secret to compounding wealth, even though it sounds dramatic. After riding a bull market from 1 to 10, you won't risk putting 10 back in if it falls 80%. You are more risk averse, thus you won't. Furthermore, I am not willing to let go of anything. Your thoughts will deceive you. Alright, I have a longer term time horizon, you reason, and leave it alone. Those looking to de-risk or cash in on lifestyle chips, though, at the end of the year or at the start of the new year, you can cash out a little bit of money and then you may ride it out. When does it reach its peak? We are unaware. Does it reach its highest point toward the end of the year, as it does in every cycle? Most likely. Has a blow-off top been arranged? Most likely. You have no idea. So far, we have no idea. You should prepare ahead of time so that you aren't expecting for a blow-off. Someone has cut some corners. Plus, you can always cut off more if it ends up flying off the top. It can be kept running if that doesn't work. In my opinion, it's best to do nothing if you're under the age of 35, but if you're under the age of 30, you should definitely do it. Unless you've got a substantial amount there that a 25% discount could purchase a home or something else that would protect your life and raise your standard of living. Not doing anything will be a mistake. All you have to do is ask yourself, how can I purchase more the item is sold? At around 4 billion users, the adoption curve will be complete. As an asset class, cryptocurrencies is currently worth $2.5 trillion. Assuming a significant slowdown from here, if I use Bitcoin's log regression channel to forecast the growth rates of crypto compared to the internet, it reaches $100 trillion by around 2032. We use figures like $100 trillion all the time. You must realize that out of $100 trillion, $97.5 trillion will be created in new wealth. If this trend continues, it will have the greatest rate of wealth creation in the history of the human race. The S&P 500's $50 trillion market cap is a result of a century's worth of value addition by the US economy and those companies. This is twice as much. Nothing like it has ever been seen before. Therefore, it's a once-in-a-lifetime chance. Will Bitcoin control half of that market out of $100 trillion? No. What does Bitcoin's worth lie in when we consider that the entire blockchain infrastructure must be utilized for various purposes, including the financial system, Web 2 enterprises, and all other elements in order to reach 100 trillion? It may be 20 trillion. It might be 15 trillion, whatever that figure is. In other words, the expansion will be felt throughout the entire realm. If it's the most rapid accumulation of money ever recorded, it's bound to draw in all kinds of people. Now, when discussing the California gold rush, it is important to note that there were dishonest people involved, such as wildcat miners. This is evident in the gas and oil industry. It is ubiquitous on the internet in the gold business. The freedom of the internet to transfer money is the sole reason of the Nigerian print scam. That being the case, we should expect to see it here. Plus, evading it is next to impossible. Criminal activity increases whenever there is a dramatic rise in the money supply. In China, we observe it. Anywhere fresh funds are available, we see it. The actors are terrible. This is true every time. And that is precisely why rules are necessary. It's clear that we have a long way to go before we can effectively handle individuals like these. Everything in the on-chain world, however, can be easily tracked and traced.